PCHers, private detectives, crooked landowners, murderheads, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbarr to Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast, where we go through episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
And we're here to talk about Season 4, Episode 6, Entering a World of Pain. Oh, God, my brain farted because I had like 3 things go at once. Oh, right, this is referencing Big Lebowski is the summation of that.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just pew-pew-pewing for your brain.
Yeah, because from the scene where Leo and Veronica are trading barbs about how he's never seen Big Lebowski. You want to know how Rob Thomas is a Gen Xer? Fucking loves Big Lebowski.
Yep.
Hey, I love it too, but it is very funny to like continually harp on it, even in like 2019, where it's like, yes, everybody knows Big Lebowski's great. But that's neither here nor there.
It isn't.
We now have an episode written by the great writer and basketball player Kareem Abdul-Jabbarr, Hall of Famer.
My mother's favorite basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a household where we really loved Kareem Abdul-Jabbarr. Could I tell you why? I mean, I assume it's just because he's a good person and he plays basketball. But like, could I tell you why? No, I have no idea why my mother, that was the one she chose.
And your family isn't like Lakers fans, right?
Growing up.
Or were they? Okay.
Well.
Saucy details.
Jim, if you're listening, turn it off. I don't want to get mom in trouble. Growing up, we were Lakers fans.
Oh.
My mom was a Lakers fan. She liked the Lakers when Kareem Abdul-Jabbarr was on the team. And
was it because of Kareem?
Great question. We'd have to ask her.
Okay.
We'll invite her on one week.
Yeah, because
on our Kareem cast.
I can understand that if she's like, I really like the players. I liked Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I like Magic Johnson. But as we get into like when we were kids, it's like, I don't like Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, she does not like Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
My mother will slander him.
Yeah, understandably, he was a very different player and person.
Yeah, it wasn't the play, it was the person. I think that's a big piece of it too. Is my mom likes to support people who seem like they are good people.
Right, and Kobe Bryant intentionally took on like the villain.
Yeah, the bad boy.
Uh-huh.
Bad boy.
I'm Black Mamba. I'm gonna get everything done.
Which is totally fine, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not how my mother wanted to function. So she just, I don't know, she just loves Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And growing up, we always watched the Lakers. David had little Lakers jerseys growing up, and like we had a little mini Lakers basketball. And then Jim moved in, and I mean, we weren't watching basketball before Jim moved in. After a certain point, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Uh-huh.
I was in dance, and David was doing karate, and no one was at home watching the NBA. No one cared.
Right, no one cared enough.
As was it football or basketball that was on once, and what did you tell me? Someone was playing, and I said, "Oh, who cares?"
Oh, football.
Was it football?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's about how I felt about sports growing up. I'm like, no one cares about these. It's just something that men do with their brains because they're too stupid to continue conversation during Thanksgiving. Which, could be wrong. Jury's still out on that one. But I don't know why she loved Kareem. And all I know is that we were Lakers fans, and she was a Lakers fan as a youth.
There you go. Okay. All right. I was just curious.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Southern California. My family's not like big sports people just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Very fair weather, but I like the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only watched sports, like I was at my grandmother's house a lot. So we only watched sports if one of the boys was over. So it was like whoever they liked.
Right. That makes sense.
Or my grandpa really liked baseball and wrestling. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you the combination between the two. If there's any crossover, if it just happened to be on TV.
You can like multiple things. People contain multitudes.
He did. He milked cows and he watched baseball and
luchadors, right?
Yeah, he watched a bunch of different versions of wrestling, but he'd watch it all, and he'd watch it in Spanish, he'd watch it in English, because he spoke Portuguese, so he could kind of understand the Spanish enough to be like, oh, whatever.
Right, but not like WWE, right?
No, not like the drama show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. He was watching like real fighting.
Got it. Yeah.
real fighting. I say in parentheses.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure it was all scripted.
Totally. Yeah, that's the thing. As I've gotten older about wrestling, because it was always billed to me as fake, and it's like, oh no, it's not fake. It's just predetermined. Like these people really are like throwing themselves off of like giant things and landing on each other.
Well, and specifically in that genre, because like if you go to like high school wrestling, that's like
Right.
real wrestling.
Yeah,
Or,
that's
like
totally,
even like
that's
there's
like Greco-Roman or whatever.
there's like actual wrestling that like you can watch too, and I think he would watch it all. But yeah, I couldn't. I don't know why. That was what he watched. That and the Rugrats. You know, we had a great time together.
Perfect. But yeah, it's funny with Kareem. He's now like just a writer. I mean, and activist. Well, has always has been. But it's funny to see his name on here. But he's kind of, this episode is just kind of very in line with other TV episodes. You know, it's very workman, I guess, kind of thing, where you're a mercenary kind of being hired to come in and pay for this because, you know, I saw some like conjecture about like that it's like like some of the like political things that get brought up here, like Kareem, you know, is an activist and very aware of these things, but it's like this is kind of just like embedded in the show already, so like I wouldn't really, maybe it fit him to do certain stuff, but I wouldn't say that it's anything out of the realm of the show.
Yeah, I wouldn't think this show, like if I watch this episode and someone is like, it's written by someone, you know, anyone who's who didn't write the previous one, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'd probably just, you know, like it wouldn't stick out to me.
Yeah, totally. It's a fine episode, and I think I'm at the point now, which we'll get into later, where it's like the mystery, the bombing mystery isn't as engaging, and that's not the draw of Veronica Mars anyway. You want to see people you're here for the characters for the most part, but
yeah,
I'll get into some of my disappointments specifically around this episode of where I'm kind of at with that.
Yeah, well, and I just think in general it's like it feels like we aren't supposed to care who's bombing.
Right.
Like it really honestly, like it's like, like we care if Nicole's betraying Veronica, but we don't care if she's bombing. And right. I think that's really interesting and odd. And I like from the beginning, like that's how the whole season is set up. I wouldn't say this episode like is the prime example of that. But
yeah. I think this episode is where it like just finally clicked for me of why it's like, okay, this isn't like engaging. But as we that has something to do with some of the reveals too. So I'll bring that up as we kind of go along here.
Shall we jump in?
Let's do it.
So
feed first.
We start with Veronica. She's sus of Nicole. She thinks Nicole is sus. She's like,
We remember
planting the bug.
Exactly.
She also, Veronica's like, maybe I should have gotten professional help. Like we start right away with like maybe I should have seen a therapist. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
Like it feels like what they tried to do with this whole show, and we'll get to it like in the very like last episode too, is it's like talking about how important it is to like seek mental health help, but like they took the entire season to get there, and they bullied Logan relentlessly along the way.
Right, yeah.
And like also, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Because it's like it doesn't fit to me. It doesn't feel right because like then they're having Veronica tell the story from the future, which is like fine.
Very, very noirish.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not done. The rest of the show is not done like a noir, so then it doesn't really work.
Or at least like not in that
in
framing.
That vein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like we picked up, it's kind of like the drug metaphor from the movie. It's like we picked up a metaphor and we picked up a style and then we put it down and then we pick it back up again. And I remember learning how to like write stories as a kid, and like one of the things they taught us, like if you're writing fiction, was to have a thread. Like what's your common thread throughout the whole thing? Like what's your gold string throughout the whole thing? What ties it all together? And it's like this doesn't have a gold string. It's like we stopped sewing and then we switched colors and then we put the gold back in, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, it kind of seems like we've now gotten a movie and now a season on how Veronica refuses to grow.
And I think the movie could have been a really cool place to just catapult her into like, okay, now she's going to get help.
Right. Yeah.
And it does end with us thinking she is going to grow.
Exactly. So that's what's
So it's like
frustrating.
Then she backslid.
Right. To just feeling stuck. And she's like stuck again being a private detective, which I guess you could, as things wear off and you're trying to grow, but that's not what it's about.
Mm-mm.
It's about her refusal to like open up to people, but it seems like she was already
trust people.
Exactly, doing that at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And we've done that before where it's like and we talk about it, how weird it is when it's like, oh, Keith and Veronica aren't talking again due to reasons.
They're hiding things from each other.
Yeah. So it's it's not like an engaging like through line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. So then Veronica's like, thinking about all that. She gets a phone call. It's from Maddie's family. They were on their way to Paris for spring break, but Maddie somehow managed to not get on the plane. And so they ask Veronica to find Maddie. And Veronica's like, I can do that because we assume where she is.
Yep. As Keith says, she home aloned him.
Uh-huh. And then Veronica tells Keith that she's sus of her BFF, Nicole.
Yep. We get a bad Alexa joke for product placement and end of cold open.
Exactly. So then Veronica goes to find Maddie. She takes a baguette. She goes to the Seas, right? Because she was supposed to be in Paris.
Uh-huh.
And then she finds Maddie.
I'm just glad you noted that because I was like looking at my notes. I'm like, oh, right.
And then Maddie tells Veronica, she's like, I've been doing some research into Big Dick and this Cassidy character. And did you know that Cassidy caused a busload of kids to fly off a cliff? And it's like, okay, Maddie, honey, you did the research. And I know we've been told the story from Veronica's perspective, but there is no doubt in my fucking mind that whole entire town talks about Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
And so how in the fucking world is her name not tied to any of those articles? Or like,
absolutely,
like the fact that these kids like her and Duncan and Gia, who's dead, basically everyone else who was a part of that experience is dead or gone.
Totally.
Duncan's like dead but not dead, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How would Veronica Mars especially not pop up?
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah.
Did you know? Or we could maybe the charitable read is Maddie is she's still learning to get this. She's just looking at Wikipedia stuff.
And Veronica was there when, like, there's no way her name wasn't mentioned when Cassidy jumped off the building.
Yeah, totally.
Because her and Logan were there. She's like, yeah, and do you know about Kendall Casablancas? Maddie gives us a nice little recap of the last, for us, year of our life, but for those who'd watched Veronica Mars in real time, the last decade in summary. Totally,
we get season 2 in summary, and I think it was last time she also touches on it
season
too.
Season 2, yeah. And Veronica gives Maddie her first gift. She gives Maddie her very own taser.
Yeah, her first taser. It's special.
Because Maddie goes, "Don't tase me, bro." So Veronica has officially indoctrinated her protege. And
indoctrinated.
She's now part of the "We Don't Talk About Our Feelings" club. Here, let me tell you things you already know.
Right here, zap criminals.
Zap criminals. So then, we get Penn and Dawn. We cut over to our two of our nerds. Because this show just has a fucking thing for nerds. Like, we just have to shit on people who aren't tall and blonde.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or short and blonde. Well, Veronica gets shat on, though, honestly. So tall and blonde. I'm going to stick with what I said.
Totally. No, that's a Rob Thomas special.
Uh-huh.
But, I don't think... not that there isn't the, like... where you talk down to people. Crap. But how Dom is, like, just talks down to people.
Yes.
So, not that doesn't exist, but this is a recurring character.
It's a recurring character, and it's done through different people throughout the entire show. It was done with the TA.
Mm-hmm.
It's another great example. Another season. Oh, that was a season 3 poll.
Yes.
That's when we got season 3 summary.
Yep.
So Don calls Penn to ask him what tie he should wear when he goes talks to Congress and to bully him. Basically, he's like,
Yep.
Penn, I heard from Carol that you have a new theory, and I think the whole group thinks you should run your theory by me before you go public with it. So that way, like, we all approve of it. Because we're a group, and you're tying our group to it.
Fair enough.
It's fair enough, but it's executed poorly. And this is why men should not be in leadership roles. Because if Carol had done this, like, why don't you tell me? Okay, well, why don't we discuss it? Well, why don't I talk about this? It's so much easier. Women,
no,
men suck.
Exactly. Talking over when she's not there.
Exactly.
But we can only assume.
So we get that scene, and we're kind of like, okay, we see that Dawn thinks he's important. We're setting up Dawn as what I believe to be a red herring, because we're setting him up as like a unlikable asshole.
Yes.
We're like, and this guy, why are we seeing this scene if he doesn't have anything to do with anything? Like, is it just the group trying to maintain control? Like, I just, we see a lot of him more than the rest of the murder heads. Why is it him?
Yeah. I think we. I kind of read it as like we get him, so we see why like Penn is. We get the driving actions of why Penn is trying to go rogue, because Dom is like he's not like giving Penn agency, so Penn's like, well, fuck you. This is my theory. So then that's when we get later. He goes to the police station, then the Marses.
Then we go over to Veronica and Leo. They chat about the FBI suspects, and Leo says, we're looking at the wrong guy. I think we're looking at the wrong person, but I have to follow who they tell me to follow because I'm in the FBI. He so casually leaves some files open on his desk. But first, he grabs her purse, because she had something in her purse or something like that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I forget what he's like, saying... he's making a joke about her carrying around her bag. He's like, what do you got in here, kind of thing. But
because she's been carrying the same bag forever or whatever.
Right.
And it's important to note that Leo grabs her bag and then gives it back to her. And this is important later. And I forgot about this when we watched this the first time, because I was like, why would he grab her bag? And I was like, whatever.
Yep.
And didn't write it down. And then I was like, oh, I should have wrote that down. So then he's like, Leo gets a call, or not a call. Someone walks in. He's like, Leo, we got to go. We got to go to Reno to look at the wrong guy. But that's not what the other guy says. But that's what we get from that scene.
Yeah.
Penn shows up at the police station at the same time.
Sorry.
And he's like, hello, police chief. I'm going to present to you our theory that it's Big Dick from my murder heads group, because prostitute yourself. Like, that's in the letter. It's all over Big Dick's Twitter feed. Blah, 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 blah. Cop gets mad. Or what's her...
Langdon.
Thank you. I was going to say Lieutenant Langdon, but I was like...
Police chief?
Yeah, police chief.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not right. It's the alliteration.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure at one point.
While that's happening, Veronica's photographing the files that Leo casually left on his desk. Of people that he had been looking into, or they had been looking into, but hadn't proceeded with.
Right.
Then Veronica goes home. She tells Keith about the cases she saw on Leo's desk, and he's like, "Excuse me, did Leo tell you you could take pictures of these confidential files?" And she's like, "Well, it was implied. Like, they were on his desk, whatever." Right,
which we do also know. I mean, that's not as much of a reveal later, but we do kind of get it. That's probably why he was doing it.
Yeah.
So I imagine when he's like, off to Reno, him and his partner go in a different conference room, shut the door, and they're peeking out the blinds, seeing what she's doing. It's like, is she taking it?
Oh my God. I would think he wouldn't tell his partner.
I know,
but that's your little cop picture.
Exactly. It's just like Leo behind some blinds.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be Schmidt probably, but you know what I mean.
And so they look at it, and it's previous spring break death cases, basically. Like what's happened during spring break in previous years that they've looked into. One of them is someone who died working at Chattanooga Charlie's. Was he the owner or just an employee? I think it was an
employee, yeah.
And then another was a kid who was a pledge at Pi Sig, who, if we don't remember from season 3 and season 2, is the frat at Hearst College, because apparently they only have one. I guess we know they have more than one because they mention it, but we've never seen.
Right, I was going to say there's only one that causes trouble.
Exactly.
Except in this case, someone's tent caught on fire and died.
Yeah, they and so they said it was a hazing gone wrong, but
yeah, because all these were ruled an accident.
Exactly. So they're going to investigate them. While they're talking about this, Penn shows up with a pizza to share a theory of his. And this scene made me really hungry. His pizza looked really good.
Absolutely.
I think it was a veggie pizza.
Yeah. So we have not gotten any takeout or anything since the pandemic started. Mm-hmm. And we do get frozen pizzas delivered here, but we've been watching a lot of shows that have pizza in it, and it's like, oh my God, I want some pizza. Yeah.
We're almost done getting vaccinated.
Totally.
But so Penn is like, hey, I've got a theory, and I think he negotiates for 5% if they win the money for finding the person, if he shares his theory with them. And Veronica's like, what's your theory before we agree? Mm-hmm. And so he's like, he tells him about the prostitute yourself thing, and that he'd found a dead duck in his bed. Mm-hmm. And
to which Keith gets a side eye look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what's a dead duck doing in his bed?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you went duck hunting, Keith?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Did they actually hunt any ducks, though? Because it looks like the two of them just sat there and drank beer.
I think that's what hunting looks like.
Does it?
I
because
feel
people
like
tend to come home with a dead animal.
Right, but I feel like you aren't doing too much activity for the most part. You're out there probably for multiple hours, and you do like shooting every now and then.
That's really dangerous to do drunk.
Probably.
I remember when I was little and my cousins would go hunting, and I was like, I want to go, and they're like, you can't because you're a girl, and I was like, actually I can't because I don't want to kill anything,
including you for making that comment.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Give me the BB gun.
Load me up.
Just have a little paint gun.
Exactly. How'd she get in trouble? Well, she was paintballing with the ducks.
No one's allowed to shoot any of the ones she got pink on, and so now no one can hunt in that forest.
Yep, yeah, they're worried about the contamination. They've had to go out there with Dawn.
She's actually managed to save an entire family. That would have been me as a kid. Little mini animal rights activist. I remember one time my cousins brought home a deer, from hunting, and then they had made it venison or whatever, I don't know, and they're like, do you want to eat some of this meat? And I was at like a family party where all the food's out, and I was like, I don't know, what is it? And so they put it on my plate, and they told me it was like beef or something, and then I ate it, and I was like, I don't like how this tastes, because I didn't like gamey meat, because I didn't eat a lot of game. And
but you respect it.
I do. You know what? It's can't blame the player. You got to blame the game. That's victim blaming, though, in this case. And one of my cousins had the nerve to tell me that it was Bambi's mom.
Yeah.
And I was like,
bad move.
Yeah. Needless to say, I don't think their parents or the rest of the family was very happy with them. Because when Emily cried, everyone's day was ruined. But needless to say, we don't hunt in this family. We don't shoot things, and we don't even like guns.
No, I've never shot a gun.
I'm anti-gun. You know what? I'm gonna go out on record. I would say it. I don't think anyone needs them.
No.
Hunting, sure, fun, cute, whatever. You could find a new hobby.
Yeah. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
First and foremost, people. That's what you need to get across.
Yeah. So we are not putting dead ducks in anyone's bed. I just want to go on record with that. So then Veronica and Maddie are hanging out at Veronica's house. Logan comes home. Maddie's like, oh, I'm leaving because Logan's here.
It's very funny. At their house, there's like a 1 in, 1 out policy. Yeah. There's never anybody that is staying at the apartment. There's only ever 2 people in that apartment. Every time Logan comes home, Veronica
except
comes
for the
home.
One episode with Veronica, Leo, and Logan.
Yeah,
Logan's
but then
on the couch.
Right, but then when Veronica comes home, Leo's like, I gotta go.
Well, they eat a little bit of pizza first, I think. They have like a chat.
They like talk real quick, and then Leo gets out of there. That's what I mean. It's like you get to say your piece, be polite, and then you gotta get out.
Only 2 people in the apartment at a time. It's actually in their lease.
Exactly.
You have a grace period of 15 minutes to let people come in and out, and then other than that, 2 people at a time.
Right. It's how they got it cheaper.
Pony counts as a person. That's a problem.
There you go. That's it.
And so Maddie leaves. Logan tells Veronica what he learned at work today, that Vinny told the Malou family that they think that Maddie has the ring that they're looking for because, she was in the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
But that Vinny thinks she's in Paris with her family. And so Logan then also invites Veronica to go to therapy with him. He says no. She says no. You can come with me.
Denies.
Never mind.
Yeah. Just
and
kidding.
Then Logan's like, well, I'm going to go take a shower. And Veronica's like, I'm going to go to a strip club. But he can't really hear her because she goes to see Vinny because that's where Vinny works.
Yeah.
Vinny works out of the strip club.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We go to the strip club. Vinny is working. He's got his little Bluetooth in, businessman in the strip club. And Veronica tells him to stay away from Maddie because she's like, I will fucking kill you.
Yep. Issues a restraining order.
Yeah, she issues a restraining order of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
A PI restraining order, I guess you could say.
It's a verbal one.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, they're all afraid of her because she is half their size and could easily take them out. And that's one of my favorite things about Veronica.
Mm-hmm. Vinny knows firsthand.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, I think she picked up the ring because I saw her on the news footage walking in the Rebel and bending down and picking things up. And it's like, yeah, she's probably picking up shit that was in the lobby because it was
her fucking
hotel.
The ring thing is
the strangest.
Yeah, strangest thread, because that's even more of a dead end in terms of interest than
we don't care. We've never even seen the ring.
No.
Have we? Did we see it in the first episode?
We could have. I didn't see it. I don't think we did. I don't think there's any proposal.
Well, because she already has it. He's already proposed.
Right. That's it. Is it right? But I don't think it's ever she's showing it off or anything.
Yeah. I mean, there might be a ring on her hand, but we didn't notice it.
Yeah, it seems like right now it's just a way to implicate Maloof and tie in Alonzo and Dodie to the proceedings, but I have no interest in this.
Yeah, I don't care at all.
Yeah. I like Vinny, but
and I think it's important to note as well that Veronica, while she's there talking to Vinny, gets a text from Logan, tries to check her phone, and really shine a spotlight on her because you can't use your phone on the floor of the strip club.
I know. It's so.
Is that a thing?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
I would see that would probably be a thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're
you don't want to be recording the women without their consent.
No. And especially because
camera phones are everywhere now.
Totally. And how we treat strippers and sex workers. If this is their job and they have something else, they could get fired from that, from having a day job. Or other gross implications of trying to hold stuff over them. So I could see that being a rule.
Yeah.
The spotlight thing is pretty funny, even though it'd probably just be a security guard being use that again and you're out.
Yeah. Or someone standing over her.
Right. Exactly.
So then we cut over to Keith. He's interviewing the guy at Chattanooga Charlie's who is eating a Cho's pizza.
Yes. A sweet and sour chicken pizza.
Yeah. It's a crossover pizza.
I know. I was like, I could eat that. I haven't had a sweet and sour in a while either.
Oh, sweet and sour sauce is good. You'd have to make some though with our coconut aminos. Just a little food allergies things over here.
Hashtag no soy things.
So apparently the guy who had died working there died in a weird brewery incident where he was loosening the thing on the brewery thing that does the compression thing, and the thing flew off and hit him in the head and killed him.
Yeah, because it was making a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's it was too much pressure.
Exactly.
And it went. That's a really small kaboom. It went.
Oh my God.
I don't. Why so quiet, Emily?
It's very respectful.
So then Veronica goes to investigate Pi Sigma Sigma, our favorite fraternity in all of Hearst College.
Yep, everybody
should have been shut down years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have and then brought back.
But they weren't because Veronica stopped them from being shut down.
Right, but what's happened in the 10 years since then?
They've had a kitchen remodel.
Yeah, that is a nice house.
That's a very nice house.
Uh-huh. But you never know. They could have gotten suspended, kicked off campus, and brought back.
True. I sincerely doubt it, though.
Yeah.
Because they had really wealthy alumni.
Donors. Yeah. Oh, yeah, alumni. Yeah.
So Veronica goes there. She interviews them about their pledge who had died on the beach. Patrick, is it Helcher? Hulcher? I can't read my own handwriting. Helcher.
Yeah.
He died on the beach, obviously, and so she interviews the kids that were in his pledge class or that were like there with him. One kid just gets super like nervous about the interview. Another is like, it's like, I don't know who you are, like, haha, the boys at Lambda are fucking with us or whatever, right. Blah 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 blah.
I'm not intimidated by you.
Yeah, my dad's a lawyer, I'm not going to talk about this, like. And then the third one she finds is like in apparently the frat has a band.
Yeah,
looks like an emo band.
So Skinny Archie is out in the garage playing his sweet soulful music with his band, and she might have found something out, and so then his other players on the football team come and shoot him out.
Well, basically what happens is the kid that she talked to in the kitchen, whose dad was a lawyer, comes and says, no, you may not leave.
Yeah. His name's actually Blake, but,
Whatever.
Yeah, he's Archie. He's skinny.
Archie.
He's skinny Archie.
Skinny Archie. I just, Archie pre-bulk.
The exact, well, yeah, true. It could be his brother that we don't know about.
So then we cut over to Clyde. I wrote Cliff, but I know this is Clyde.
This is Clyde.
Why did I write Cliff?
You wanted a different scene.
Yeah, I'm writing my own episode. Dear Kareem.
Cliff enters.
My name's Emily, and I wanted to change it up a little.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd write back. He's like, hi, Emily. I agree with your sentiment, but...
Unfortunately, this was published 5 years ago.
Right, exactly. And, only 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And the plot structure dictated, and the schedules did not work out. I, too, am a big fan of Cliff. Sincerely, Kareem.
Oh, God, my mom would die.
Yeah.
God bless. So Clyde is like, hey, Big Dick, you can't leave me notes like this. Like, set up a trust fund for PW's kid. And he's like, well, that's why it didn't say Perry Walsh. I said PW. And he's like, you're going to get your ass put in jail. You're going to get both of our asses put in jail. So then he gets mad at Dick for being obvious. And Dick's like, I know your hands aren't clean. Like, just because I paid off Perry, I know you did insert crime here.
No, that you were the one that got rid of Perry.
You got rid of Perry, yeah. Because I basically had him do the thing, but then he's like, but the bomb wouldn't have gone off if the internet hadn't gone down. And so then Keith arrives at the front desk, and he's like, hello, I would like to see Big Dick. And the woman at the front's like, do you have an appointment? He's like, no, but they let him in anyway. And he's like, he wants to shake him down, basically. He's like, hey, do you know these companies? And like mentions the shell companies that have been buying the properties that are owned by Casablanca's family that had originally been part of Kendall and Beaver's thing.
Was theirs Phoenix Land Trust?
Yeah, something like that. And so originally Big Dick
Big Duck.
Big Dick was gonna lie about it.
Well, Big Duck is Clyde because he goes duck hunting.
Well, the Big Duck was the one in Penn's bed.
Oh, okay. He killed Big Duck.
God, he killed Perry and Big Duck. But so then he's like, oh, I don't know those companies. And then Clyde's like, yes, you do. They're they're subsidiaries, like they're LLCs.
Practically elbowing him.
Yeah. And he explains and then after Keith leaves, he's like, Big Dick's like, why would you admit to that? And he's like, because he already knew. Like, he's seeing if we're going to lie about it.
Yeah. I think this is the part of his season that like disappoints. It's like, okay, so that we are learning about the bombing, that it was everything that we, at least the first one, is everything that the show is already telling us, like on its face, and that there's no like deeper reasoning for it, is like really boring. And there's like no other interesting like plot threads that we currently have to like speculate about why there are like continued bombings going on, other than maybe driving pricing down. And we can assume that we could probably conjecture that if they're telling us this right now,
But they're telling us this, not Keith and Veronica this.
Right, but like the audience, that there's like obviously more to this.
Well, yeah, because there's still more bombings.
Right.
There's copycat bombers.
Right. And I think it's disappointing to scratch off the big important person in the community so early. That he is just a rube. And I think some of my favorite noirs are all about like how there's the joke on My Favorite Murder, it goes all the way to the top, but that's what makes it like interesting, is like a misuse of power and how that affects people,
and the almost a trickle down effect of like how you make like how if we didn't know this yet, the puzzle's good, it's how you release the pieces that's problematic.
Totally. And that the rich and powerful's hands are usually clean because it's operated by other people, and that is still happening through Perry Walsh, but that it is like he's like an idiot, and like there's really no like deeper kind of thing going on other than driving down like prices. Isn't really like saying anything apart from that. Nothing that the show hasn't already said about like how
the rich go rich and the poor go poor.
Exactly, and selfish. And I think it's also coming off of that we've watched some really good noirs this quarantine.
Yes.
So it's just that's the part where it's like, oh damn, okay, so there's gonna be some other explanation that's like not gonna be, I don't know, it could still be exciting, but maybe not what I was hoping for.
Well, and I think it's also better, like if you think about like the classic example, Murder on the Orient Express, like if they had started releasing whodunit early, it wouldn't be interesting. But when you break it all down into like how that story breaks down, if you haven't seen it, it's really old, so that's your own fault, spoiler alert.
Right.
But that it's like, oh, like if they had just been like, well, this person did it, and then they're like, and this person did it, like if they had slowly trickled in person by person like throughout the entire movie instead of at the end, it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
because it wouldn't be, you'd be like, okay, like it's just, it doesn't feel the same.
Well, it actually can work in something. So like in terms of a whodunit, like Knives Out is the perfect antithesis to that. But
that one we kind of learn who didn't do it. Like we narrow it down.
Yeah, you like know what happened for the most part, pretty much. But there's just no like interesting like commentary motivation behind the bombing stuff. Is like because usually if they're giving us this information, there's something big waiting around the corner. But that there's just no interest behind it. So there's nothing else like driving it, so you're just kind of left afloat. And and like I said, it would be great if they were making some like commentary on like rich abuse of power or something,
and how that hurts everyone and marginalized communities and small business owners and
exactly, all the people that have like built up into this house of cards, like Weevil and
even the commentary on Weevil would be a lot more interesting if they had done it in that way.
Totally. But now that they're like all but removing it off the board already,
so then speaking of Weevil, we go to Weevil next. So he's like, Veronica, what happened to Juan Diego? And Veronica's like, he got his money and he left. Like, it's not my job. Like, figure it out yourself. And he's like, well, his mom's looking for him, like whatever. Because like in this horrible house of cards we'd created for how we make money in this show for the marginalized communities, like he was the sole money earner for his family or whatever. And so they fight, and Veronica's mad at Weevil because he didn't even like tell them he was taking the plea deal, and they felt like he was sneaky about it, and like he just gave in to what it was, and he's like, I didn't have a choice, and we go back and forth, and then eventually Penn shows up and to come
this is probably my least favorite stuff of this season.
Yeah, it's just the even Weevil Veronica.
Even beyond the Veronica not going to therapy stuff. She's just being mean.
Well, actually, and I also think that like it's not aligned with Weevil's character either. Like Weevil wouldn't. I I think he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to take the plea deal, but I don't think he would have hit it. Like, I think there's certain things that were like either we're missing information or we don't have enough like emotional attachment to what happened. I mean, like we feel bad for what happened to Weevil, but we don't have enough emotional attachment to what happened to Cliff and Keith for sticking their necks out for him.
Right.
That makes it worth the whole thing. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, that it all happened off screen doesn't help.
Yeah. What happened off screen, and it seems like it happened it doesn't, like, we're missing pieces because it's like, and then his wife left and blah blah blah, and you're like, well, why would she leave? Because he took a plea deal,
right?
Like, if she knew the truth.
Yeah, because he went back to crime.
Yeah, but like that, those don't all have to align if he owned his own shop. Because
Right.
it's not like he worked for an employer that could fire him.
Totally.
He was running his own shop. And like you could, so then if they made the point that like then people were afraid to bring their cars to him, like we are missing so many pieces of information that it doesn't make any fucking sense.
100%.
And then it just makes Veronica seem wildly racist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And problematic. And you're like, yes, she's lived a very privileged life in the sense of being a white woman, but without financial privilege. So you'd think she would understand. Like, this doesn't seem like a place she'd have cognitive dissonance on.
No.
And she's not blinded by love to her father. Like, she's betrayed him for things. So it's not like that. And she even got him to hire Weevil in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many pieces. So their fight to me is stupid and fruitless.
Absolutely.
I think it's just to show that there's frustration between them, but I don't think you needed to put the tension that heavy.
No.
You could have made the tension just friction in general.
Yeah. But there's always got to be Weevil's doing something semi-shady and semi-connected.
Is it shady?
Right.
Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Penn shows up. He's like, hey, I just wanted to like check in. I'm surprised you're here. I saw your car out front. So like we know that he's watching her. And I thought that was really interesting and something I'd missed the first time we'd watched this show.
Yeah, I completely missed that this episode.
Because he's very, or he said your car's not here. And she's like, oh, Logan has my car. I'm surprised you're here because your car's not here. So he had come in expecting there to be no one.
Right.
And so then Veronica's like, yeah, Keith checked in with Big Dick and Clyde, and like it looks like they're admitting to like owning those companies, whatever. And then she's like, how good are the murder heads with investigation, like research and stuff? So they're gonna research the pie cigs that were part of that whole pledge dying on the beach thing.
Yeah. And
he's like, what does this have to do with the case? And she's like, I'm not sure. So she gives him that piece of information and asks him to research it. So then we cut over to Logan. He's doing some shady shit for Veronica. Yeah. Kind of. So he got the home name and address of the hacker who was hacking into Maloof's stuff. And he gets it from a coworker in his top secret military base. Yes. His inside man. And they're all wearing their little military outfits or camos. Yes. One of them is on the job. And well, I think he I don't know, maybe he was at work, maybe he wasn't. Well, I guess not, because Logan he goes in and then comes home and then goes exactly. In. Yeah. Because Logan only is on leave at the moment. And this guy seems to work with computers. And so he's like, hey man, here's a gift. Puts on his business card. No, he gives him a gift card it's a Froyo gift card. And he's like, yeah, and it's partially used or whatever. And so the guy gives him the information for the kid, and he's like, but Logan, like, make sure you bring a gun because this guy's a neo-Nazi and pro-gun. Like, we found all this stuff. Yeah. Logan goes to visit the guy, and he asks the guy at the door, like, he's like are you insert name here, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy calls his son because it's a 17-year-old. Yeah. Who is hacking into Maloof's computer and just, blackmailing him with shit. And he's like, haha, isn't this funny? Isn't it great? Yeah, very, very 4chan user kind of thing. Exactly. Logan tells the kid that he pretends to play into it for a bit to get the kid to trust him, and then he's to confess basically. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to like delete everything and never contact Maloof again, because if not, you will go to Guantanamo. Which is, I mean, like, if a man showed up in a military uniform at your house at 17 and said that to you, you'd be like, yeah, he probably does have jurisdiction to do that. Yeah, I'd be scared shitless. But then the kid does give him a piece of information. He's like, you think Maloof's clean? Maloof recently paid 2 cartel guys in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan's like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
So then...
Yeah. It's kind of funny. They do an okay job of being like, oh yeah, just neo-Nazi is this suburban kid who's just like
outside of Bakersfield.
Right, exactly. Who's just probably parentally online, and is just privileged and shitty.
Mm-hmm. Growing up where I did, I did not have a lot of kids at my school that I think had the skill set to hack. Mm-hmm. That was the nicest way I could phrase that.
Right.
But if they could, I think they would have done shit like this.
But even with him, the kid in the scene, it's like he's not even a hacker. He's just a kid who's online.
Oh yeah. And he saw Maloof's password when he toured the Capitol or whatever.
Right. Exactly. He just like copied it. So like he's probably not skilled at all. He's just a kid that just like hangs out on like probably shitty alt-right forums.
Mm-hmm. And so then Logan goes to take Veronica the information. He tries to bring up therapy with her. She refuses to talk about it. He also tells her about the cartel guys and asks her, she's like, hey, we could, also maybe have like a nice little date night with my therapist. Once again, she's like, no, thank you. And then Keith shows up, so Logan leaves.
One in,
one out. But this was at the office too.
The office, yeah.
So then at the Maloof hotel room, Logan's there. Logan tells Maloof he's there. They're talking.
Yep. And Maloof then tells a story about making fun of Paul Ryan.
That he zipped his winky into his pants
when they were in the men's bathroom.
And then
I got the image that is just like Maloof is saying. He's like, yeah, I zipped his winky into his trousers. That's not what it is. Brainworms.
I love it. Is it because we watched Dune last night that you got brainworms?
Absolutely.
I'm the big worm. Is that your worm noise?
Yeah, I guess so. I like the puppets. It is very funny how like looking at that, I don't know how else you would have done it at the time of just like the scale models in comparison to like Star Wars happening at the same time and how much more like convincingly the models are done.
So then
Star Wars is even like 4 years before then.
So then Logan gets a phone call. He's been called back into active duty. He's like, I'll call in some people I know, see if I can find you a security person. On my way, but I have to go. And then he's like, I gotta go tell Veronica, or I gotta call Veronica and tell her too. And then the mom in Arabic says that she is going to miss looking at Logan, and he says that he'll try to keep in shape back to her. And then they realize that he's been able to understand them the whole time.
They all have a chuckle. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, they don't look as mad about that, which is, fair, because like, how mad can you be?
Yeah, totally.
It's your fault.
And he disarms them. So.
And he makes, it's not like he did it when they were saying something like secretive.
Right, exactly.
She's just like, so then
you worry after, and then you're like, wait, crap, what did we say in front of him?
Veronica and Keith go to the strip club. Logan tries calling her. She can't answer because they're at the strip club.
Yes, I think Vinny even calls her out again when the phone starts ringing.
He's like, we don't want you to get in trouble. They talk to Vinny, trying to get information from him. It really doesn't go anywhere. But as we leave the strip club, once again, Veronica and Keith try to lay out the puzzle for us. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
Well, Vinny tells him about Lonzo and Dodie. Right?
Oh, yeah. That he knows that that Maloof asked him to look into them.
Yes.
But he doesn't know for what or why. Just that he was like, yeah, find him. So then...
Yeah, but so when they lay out the case, Keith immediately hits the nail on the head. It is very funny. He's like, but wait a minute. What if? It's fantastic.
What if he had paid off them to get rid of Tawny's brothers?
100%.
Because Keith was there when Tawny's brothers were there. Yeah. But like, they still don't have the like, why was the cartel there? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And then Veronica's like, well, maybe, like they're trying to figure it out. And as they're putting the puzzle together, we see Tawny's brother, who we saw was alive at the end of 2 episodes ago. 1 episode ago.
Yeah.
Was it the last one?
I'm gonna check my notes.
It doesn't matter. They see him walk to his car, get in his car
2 episodes ago.
and he's going to drive away, but his car has a boot on it. And what I want to know is that they shot him, but they left his keys in his pocket, which I guess, I mean, like, you know, you don't want to have to deal with that, and you don't want to have fingerprints on it, I guess.
But you just dumped their bodies full of everything at their pockets.
Yeah, it just seems odd. So
not the greatest.
Yeah, but he can't go anywhere because his car has a boot. So then Veronica listens to her voicemail because she gets home and she sees a note on the counter and it says check your voicemail. So she does, and she finds out that Logan has been deployed, and he says that he still wants to marry her and that he loves her and that he's sorry that things are still kind of funky, but you know, like he's got to go do his thing because, you know.
Yep. Uncle Sam, hold up.
So we see Veronica. She looks sad. She poured a big glass of wine. Surface tension, stress is Brenton out beyond belief.
It was very stressful just looking. It's like, oh my God, it's like literally to the top. The only thing that is holding this wine together is surface tension. There is no spill.
So then Veronica and Keith go sleuthing in the Alonzo and Dodie's hotel room. My favorite thing about them is that like they both were given a lot of money to like do this, but they're like, we'll stay in a cheap hotel.
Yeah.
Because like, why?
Yeah.
We don't want to stand out.
Exactly. We don't need to be fancy.
And they share a room.
Yeah. Couple of fellas.
It just makes me laugh.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you want to. This is a tough mission. You gotta have your friend there.
So then Keith fake falls in the hallway to distract our dear friend Weevil's sister Claudia, who is dating Alonzo casually. And
they're just dating. They're seeing where this goes.
Yeah.
They like each other, but you know.
Well, let's see. He is in the cartel.
Exactly.
So then Veronica's in the room. So then she comes out. You know, she finds what she can. She takes pictures of the IDs of Tawny's brothers because that's what she finds in a Bible in the room.
And ammo.
In the ammo. She comes out, she walks her dad out, you know, whatever.
Right, has a scare, doesn't know if he's actually dying, and he like looks at her like, no, I'm fine.
And then winks. And so then basically we cut over to Claudia. She comes home from work. She was fired. We don't really know why.
Yeah, it's just they let people go, apparently.
Yeah. Because they don't have spring breakers.
There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say it's they don't have business, so they're cutting back.
She asks Weevil if she can be part of the family business. He says, no, I don't want you living a life of crime. It's very odd because you live with a life of crime.
It is chivalry, I guess. That's what it's trying to be.
It's toxic masculinity. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so then she's like, hire me at your shop. And she's like, also, I saw your girlfriend, Veronica, you know, your little blonde girlfriend at the motel. And then Alonzo comes. So he comes in, Claudia gets some beer, whatever. And then she's like, oh, I saw Veronica looking in Alonzo's room. And Alonzo's like, huh. And so then he's like, oh, I'll have to go talk to her. And you see Weevil look torn. Do I tell Veronica that this man that I know from his tattoos in the cartel is going to come question her? Why were you in his room, Veronica?
And she also mentions that this old man had collapsed outside the room. And then, oh God, I forget his name. Crap.
Who's been with him since the beginning.
Yeah. Fuck. He's like, oh, that was her dad. Yeah.
So Veronica then is sad. You know, Logan's gone. She goes to see Nicole. She tells Nicole about her story with Logan and all their destructiveness and all of that. And then this man shows up at the bar. Who is it, Brenton?
Oh, it's Leo.
And he orders drinks.
But also, shame on you.
Yeah. He orders them a bunch of drinks because he's like, oh no, I had to come interview Nicole, and also like this just seemed like the place to be. And then she's like, wait a minute, you're tracking me. And she's like, you put a tracker on my car when you were in it. And he's like, no, I put it in your purse when we were when you were in my thing because I wanted
the police station.
Yeah, in my room because I wanted you to I wanted to see what you did when you looked into those cases. What did you find? So they share stories and they have fun. They get drunk. They're dancing. They're having a good time.
I wrote down new girl drinking scene.
Yes.
They're practically playing what's it called? Something Presidents in New Girl.
Isn't it something American?
Oh yes. Damn it. But yes, I was like, this would fit right in. You just swap out some of the actors and this is a new girl scene.
And then eventually Nicole kind of like falls back a little and lets the two of them get too close. And you're like, huh, Nicole. Well, I get it. She's sisters before misters.
Well, it's just like, she's probably sitting there just like, okay, I'm really third wheeling now. And this, I can just like
hang out at my bar.
Exactly. Again, shame on you, Leo.
Leo, then.
I know you've got your own shit going on.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
You met Logan. You liked him. You said he was chill.
Also, Weevil's friend is Hector.
So then Veronica and Leo leave. Leo's walking her home. She tells him about the story of the Big Lebowski because he's never seen it. If I had $1 for every time a white man told me what the Big Lebowski was about, even though I had seen it, I wouldn't have student loan debt.
Well, it's brilliant, Emily. Let me tell you about it.
I know. And it's just I get it.
Like
white men, they love it. And a bunch of the kids that we went to school with were raised by Gen X men, which then means that they love to talk about the Big Lebowski because their dad talked about the Big Lebowski. And for some odd reason, that's the trait they kept.
Yes. Hey,
So we get back to the house, and Leo's getting a little too close to Veronica. And Veronica's getting a little too close to Leo.
Yes.
I would put the blame on both sides of that party. But Veronica's the one in the relationship.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
She's also in a vulnerable state, and she's drunk, and he's drunk, but we don't need that.
Right. Blame on both, for sure. But shame on you, Leo.
We know you're better than that.
You instigated this.
You're literally tracking her. Yeah, she didn't ask you to come hang out with her. You followed her.
You're the one who ordered the drinks at the bar.
Yes.
You could have left. You could have been like,
let's have a drink, talk about what you learned, and then I will go home.
Exactly. Not buying you shots.
Yeah, or hanging out with you and your girlfriend who you two were just going to get drunk and have a wild night.
You could have discussed it. You could have bought her a drink to say thank you. Peaced out.
Had some buffalo wings. I think they talked about the wings.
Oh, yeah. Buffalo wings. Perfect.
When they eat more.
I didn't see any food.
Me neither.
Never came out.
Regardless. Or like, okay, fun. Have a good time. Have a nice dance. And then you know what you don't do? You don't push that button.
No.
Men are the worst.
Leo?
Men are trash. And I don't respect them.
Good flip of the John LaJoy song.
Thank you. I do what I can with what I've got. So then they go in they're right by the door and they hear something inside the house. So Veronica pulls out her gun because you can immediately sober up like that if you hear an intruder in your house and you're
adrenaline.
Veronica. Yeah. They open the door. It's Maddie. She is there because the Sea Sprite had cut her power.
The Sea Sprite lost power.
Yes, Sea Sprite lost power because they weren't paying the electric bill because So then
she's 16.
Yes, exactly. So then Leo leaves and Maddie goes, okay, cool. Have I met all of your boyfriends now or are there more? Love her.
Yep.
Veronica's like, yeah, of course.
There's one more. He works at NPR.
Yeah.
You can go. Let's go to visit New York. He's not going to be happy to see me.
I know. But, God, we love Piz.
Oh, we do.
I fucking love Piz.
I know. Fucking Piz is so great.
Piz is the best. Piz deserved better.
Indeed.
Justice for Piz. I like
Piz.
what they did with Logan. I like how they've this Logan, great, amazing.
So much
we should have had this Logan in season 3.
It's exactly, or at least exactly. At least some part of season 3. It is fucking season 3. Logan is rough. You can have him fuck up, sure, or like go through some shit,
or have him like in therapy working through it. It seems like we get post trauma. Which isn't really a thing, you know what I mean? But like post working on himself, Logan, we never had to deal with Logan when he was working on himself. We either had Logan when he wasn't working on himself.
He could have done it. Could have had him got him in trouble, and he had to go to therapy.
Yeah, and then he could have like enjoyed it.
Totally.
Felt
Sopranos
better.
had already happened at this time, and Sopranos famously had lots of fucking therapy scenes, and so like you could have included that.
So
In Treatment had already aired at this time.
There you
Therapy
go.
was on TV.
Yeah, no, we could have had it. definitely. So then
The time of season 3 is
yeah. So then she's like making herself a snack or whatever, and Veronica's like, okay, blankets are in the hallway, like don't burn the house down, like I'm gonna go to bed. And Maddie's like, don't have children. And so then we cut over, there's a knock at the door at the hotel room of the Maloof family.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it, Brenton?
Weedman.
Clarence Weedman.
Our favorite. Logan called in Weedman to replace.
Well, it makes sense. It was his former best friend's dad's security man.
Totally. And then Weedman has horrible fucking flashbacks here as soon as he accepts the job.
No, he doesn't accept it. Well, he's like, oh, I'm here to work. And then Maloof's like, oh, I don't need you anymore. Like, honestly,
Okay.
like my issue was taken care of.
Uh-huh. And then dramatic irony comes up in the elevator.
And it's the brother of Tawny.
Uh-huh.
And he shoots Weedman and Maloof.
Mm-hmm.
Maloof gets shot in the chest. I think he misses Weedman.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Weedman shoots Tawny's brother.
Yep. Kills him.
But
just man, Weedman's just like, fuck, not again. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Every time. I go work for a white man, and this
People fucking die.
This time it wasn't even. This time he was like, "Oh, I went to work for a senator." Just high, powerful men.
Yeah, exactly.
I would block Logan's phone number.
Absolutely. Just kind of.
Day one I'm gone, and he gets shot. Like, are you the day one you're gone? I don't think so.
Do you think he's still working for the Canes?
Well, I mean,
he was still working for him in season 3.
Yeah. But I guess maybe, he was just like running their security detail. He wasn't like personally, like they don't go anywhere
Personally
really.
involved. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
didn't the Canes divorced?
Right, but he was still with Jake.
He was still with Jake,
3.
yeah. Because he wasn't with Celeste, or else I don't think the Weevil thing would have happened.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or Weevil wouldn't be alive.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think so, because that would have there would have never been the people surrounding her.
Right.
And he went to go help her or whatever. So yeah, and then we end there.
Yep. And that's that.
A little gun violence in the elevator.
I mean, he should just stop saying that he's okay. No, I'm fine. It's oh shit.
Yeah, no, just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. So yeah, there we go. That was the episode in its entirety. Soup to nuts. Thank you, Kareem.
2 more episodes.
2 more episodes.
Ever.
I really think there's only 1 more episode, right? Or an episode and a half.
3/4.
The last 10 minutes of that episode, I just pretend I'm just gonna they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We will stop recording the podcast there.
50 minutes or
and
whatever.
Then you can
45.
finish it by yourself.
Just solo cast.
I'm sorry, Emily does not believe this part happened.
And then I'll talk about that part by myself, and I'll bring you back in for the wrap up.
Exactly. Because it's just fucked up. It's fucked up. I don't like it. I remember that distinctly. I remember being angry.
Mm-hmm.
I have never felt anger like that before.
Yeah. Who knows what could happen? We don't.
All I know is it makes Emily mad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
So, shall we plug?
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't have any thoughts. Never had one in my fucking life.
Clear eyes, head empty.
Clear eyes, pure heart, head empty.
Damn right.
Well, when I'm not yelling into this microphone about how much I hate this show, sometimes I yell into this microphone about other things. We have another podcast. It's called But Really Though. Though is spelled THO. It is a podcast where we research a subject each and then share it with each other. It will be anything from tall tales. One time I talked about the Loch Ness Monster, my friend Nessie, to stuff we didn't learn in history, and conspiracy theories, or just fucking fun things. Sometimes it's space. I like to talk about space a lot.
Yes.
I know very little about space, but I like to talk about it.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of rovers, the Voyagers and Perseverance.
I don't think Voyager is considered a rover, is it?
No, Voyager is
a spacecraft.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's the ones that went into deep space.
Yeah. Whatever. Not rovers.
Yeah, we talked about Curiosity a little in Perseverance.
Yes, Perseverance.
Percy, as my friend Delta on TikTok calls him.
She is cool.
She's very cool. She's like 4 years old and her mom works for NASA, I think. 10 out of 10 recommend learning your space facts from a small child. It makes it a lot easier to understand.
Yeah.
But so we do that. It is available wherever you get your podcasts. Wherever you get this one at, you can get that one at, because we use the same exact fucking, program to do that. New episodes come out every Wednesday, right?
Yes. Space probe.
Space probe.
I'm like, I have to look this up. There's a term for it.
There's a word and I cannot recall it.
Mm-hmm.
Tip of the tongue kind of thing. Also, sometimes I do other things. Like, I said that like it's not my job.
Yeah, I was going to say, as in your job.
Most of the time. I am a life and career coach. I help people figure out what they want to do. I help people make a plan. I help people get their shit together. We prep for interviews, or we set healthy boundaries. We do fun things like that. We build a better future for you.
Today.
Or tomorrow.
That's true.
Whenever you're ready. Yeah. I do free discovery.
What's your calendar look like?
I do free discovery calls for any new clients. You can schedule those on butreallythough.com. That was spelled THO, just like the podcast. And I mean, like, you know, if you're like, why the fuck should I trust her? 1, I am a certified life coach, which most life coaches aren't. And 2, I worked in HR for 5 years. So like the career coaching thing is something I actually know how to do. Some people, you know, they give you advice, but they don't actually know what it's like to have done the thing.
Yep.
So it does, you know, if you want to hang out with me, if you want to vibe together, I will promise not to use vibe. I hated that as soon as I said it. You can schedule your free discovery call at butreallythough.com. And I post over on my Instagram at butreallythough at BTRLYTHO.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. You can also find me on Twitter at PyleBrenton. That's PyleBrenton. And you can also find us doing a Let's Play over on my YouTube channel, Burger Discourse.
Did you say DootTube?
DootTube. Remember that. DOUTUBE.
No, please don't go there. We don't know what that website's going to be.
I don't know if there's a channel. YouTube, and we're playing through Outer Wilds. We've still got a few episodes left on that thing.
Yeah, because I've now reached the point where I feel like I do with humanity, where I'm not sure what the point is.
Mm-hmm. But there are still plenty of mysteries to solve.
Yeah, I don't have enough information to know why.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, stay toasted, marshmallows.